Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and in this video, we're reviewing the Troxus SkyHopper, a smaller framed fat tire electric bike that packs a punch. So let's get into the review. Before we get into the walk around of the Troxus SkyHopper, if you are looking to purchase one, please consider using the link in the description, as that helps support Ebike Escape and makes videos like this one possible. The Troxus SkyHopper is currently priced at $12.99, though I know the original price is $15.99, and of course I will put any discounts that I'm aware of in the description as well. I will also put links to our popular electric bike accessories list, our top e-bike brands page, and finally our electric bike discounts code page, where I track all the deals of the brands that I follow. Purchases made through links within those pages also help support me. With that, let's take a closer look at the Troxus SkyHopper. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to review this electric bike was simply for its unique frame design. You can see there's a bit of a mid step, but this step is going to be very accessible for a wide variety of height ranges. As you watch the third-person riding footage, keep in mind that the seat is at its maximum height. I am 6 feet tall, and that seat is at its highest position right now as well. One other thing that I wanted to talk about is Troxus is a new company in the e-bike space. They also sell scooters. You may have seen that review as well. Now, this bike did come with some play in that headset, and I did need to take it to Matt at All About Bikes if you've seen any of our bike maintenance videos, but he was able to get it sorted out. Troxus took care of it. Of course, that's Troxus taking care of an e-bike reviewer. I would hope they would treat a customer the exact same way, but just wanted to call that out as a real world experience. Sometimes when you receive electric bikes from any company, really, they're just not perfect, and sometimes they need a little maintenance, and hopefully companies take care of you. All right, with that, let's take a closer look up here. First of all, 20-inch by 4-inch wide Kenda tires. These are definitely capable of doing some off-roading, though Troxus is really branding this as a urban e-bike. Perhaps an urban e-bike that can really handle everything with these fat tires. Of course, you can lower the pressure on those and get a really comfortable ride. As far as brakes go, we have 160 millimeter mechanical disc brakes. That's actually pretty common on some of these more budget-friendly electric bikes, but they did opt for Tektro Aries mechanical disc brakes, which I really like. That's a component you see on many electric bikes. It's tried and true. Works great. Sometimes mechanical disc brakes just in general are a little bit tricky to adjust, which is why I do prefer hydraulic, but I've been using these brakes on many of our electric bikes and no complaints. And of course, having the name brand is really nice. And the Troxus comes fully outfitted. You can see we have the front fender here. I'll show you the rear one here in a little bit. Mounts right to the front fork here. Really nice and solid front fenders. The SkyHopper does come equipped with both front and rear integrated lights. Most of the times, lights like these are great for being seen, especially at night, though if you are riding a lot at night, I highly recommend rechargeable lights. In fact, I really like some of the rechargeable lights that blink for daylight visibility, so cars can see you better on the road. The Troxus does come equipped with a front suspension with lockout. I'll go ahead and push on the front fork so you can get an idea of what to expect. Definitely going to add some comfort on your riding. And given the price point of the Troxus SkyHopper, I think this suspension is pretty good. Also wanted to point out that the front is a quick release, so if you wanted to remove that front wheel or you happen to get a flat, it's going to be much easier to take off this front wheel than perhaps a bolt-on. Let's move on to the cockpit. Very standard Grips here, not locking. Again, not something you'd necessarily expect on an affordable electric bike such as this one. While the company did decide to go with the Tektro Aries disc brakes, they did go with non-branded levers. Now, I find that these feel just fine. I am certainly used to mechanical disc brakes, and these function very similar to many of the electric bikes that I have tested and reviewed. You do have motor cutoff, so as soon as you hit that brake, it's going to cut off power to the motor. Left hand thumb throttle on the Troxus SkyHopper. Very simple controls over here on the left, pedal assist up and down, and of course the power button. As far as the display on this bike, very simple display, nothing special, but it gets the job done. I'll go ahead and hit the throttle here so you can get an idea of what it looks like. So you have your current battery capacity, miles per hour, pedal assist level, that's going to go from 0 up to 5. You do have time, error for any errors, trip, miles, odometer in miles, and back to time. This display is an hour meter S700, and you can look up a manual online, but you can get into some advanced settings by holding the up and down pedal assist button. You can see we have P01, and you can cycle through all these settings. You can change it from miles to kilometers, and there are some additional functionality here. So if you are interested in this electric bike, go ahead and do a search on the S700 display, and that will tell you everything that you need to know. On the right side, we do have an included bell. And you have a 7-speed shifter on this electric bike, and they did opt for a Shimano trigger shifter. Definitely prefer this trigger shifter compared to the thumb shifters that come on many electric bikes. So like that, they went a step up on this component. It's worth calling out these handlebars. They're actually somewhat swept back. If you check out the third-person riding footage, that will give you a little bit better idea of the riding position of this electric bike, but definitely it brings the handlebars a little bit more towards you. It's a bit of a moped style feel, but not super hunched over. It does come with an adjustable stem, and I have to imagine most people are going to want to adjust that upwards to bring the handlebars much more closer to you. Let's talk about the battery. They are using the Rienshin battery packs somewhat integrated into the frame. Now, one of the cool things with this specific pack is it does have a little handle here, so it exits the frame at an angle. There is a battery indicator on this. This is a 14 amp hour battery, pretty standard for this price range. To put the battery back, you simply want to make sure this piece goes into the frame first. And then the battery simply snaps into place. You do not need the keys in order to ride this electric bike. I simply leave them there so I don't lose them. And even though this top tube comes very close to the battery, no issues removing it. And of course, I really like the accessibility of this electric bike. Very standard pedals on this electric bike. They did mount the kickstand towards the rear of the bike. It's a short kickstand, but it's nice and large, so you don't have to worry about your bike tipping over. And of course, if you're moving this bike around, don't have to worry about the pedals coming in contact with the kickstand. Here's a closer look at the rear Tektro Aries mechanical disc brakes, and of course you have this included rack. Really like that. Has some pannier hangers on here as well. Really like that they include all of the accessories, and you do have a rear metal fender on this electric bike. Now, I do want to call out with this metal fender, and I've heard it on only a few electric bikes. So one of the downsides with some of these metal fenders is when that motor is really cranking, you can actually hear it vibrating the fender, and it produces some sounds that you can definitely hear while riding. You'd normally think that something is wrong with the electric bike, but that's actually just the metal fender. So just something to keep in mind. Again, I really like the metal fenders because they're nice and sturdy, but there are pros and cons to metal versus plastic fenders. In the rear, we have a blaze light rear light. I've seen this brand a few different times. Again, at night, it's going to provide some visibility, but again, really get some external lights if you are riding a lot at night. Let's talk about the motor. The company states this is a 750 watt motor, and I have to imagine it is peaking much higher than that, just given the performance. And of course, you have smaller wheels, so this bike just feels super zippy. I talk more about that in my first-person riding footage. And of course, you'll also be able to see how this thing can handle hills. 14 to 28 tooth freewheel over here in the rear. Again, I talk about the gearing a little bit in my first person riding footage. Most of the times with electric bikes like this one, if you get up into the 20 mile per hour plus range, it's just going to be difficult to provide a lot of your own power, especially with these more powerful motors. They did opt for Shimano Altus shifting. Again, a component that you see on a lot of electric bikes, but I really like that they went with the name brand. I've had to replace these before and they are easy to adjust. Up front, I believe we have a 44 tooth chainring, and I wanted to point out the controller here mounted towards the rear of the seat tube here. And one thing I did want to call out with this Rienshin battery pack is it does have an integrated USB port, and I feel like I'm seeing USB ports included less often, so happy to see that there. Of course, it's nice to be able to charge up your phone or any other devices that you need to. All right, that completes the walk around. Let's get to some first-person riding footage, and I'll show you just what the Troxus SkyHopper can do. Okay, let's get to some throttle only and walking through the various pedal assist modes with the SkyHopper. Gonna go ahead and turn the bike on here. And you should note that in pedal assist 0, you actually get no throttle. So I will need to go into one kind of on this curvy stretch, which should be fun with this bike. Got my speed here. This is the speedometer app by Coolnix. And I should also mention that I did go into the settings and max out the speed. You should do that at your own risk, of course. With that, let's do throttle only. We'll see how fast this thing can go and go from there. All right, 3, 2, 1, throttle. Definitely need to be a bit careful with this bike with the throttle because it is quite powerful bike. 23 miles an hour, 24, 25, yeah, 24, 25 miles an hour throttle alone, and the battery is probably less than half full at this point. So very impressive, very powerful electric bike with these smaller wheels and this motor. That's why I say with the throttle, you just want to be careful when you use it, because if you're not careful, it can definitely give you a little bit of a jerk forward. All right, let's go into the various pedal assist modes. I'm actually in pedal assist 1. I'm gonna go ahead and shift down here, 4th gear. Just a leisurely pace right now, going about 10 miles an hour. And while the throttle is very strong, I would say the pedal assist levels are actually pretty good. You're not gonna feel like in pedal assist 1 that you're gonna feel out of control if you're hopping on this electric bike, which can't be said about other electric bikes. Sometimes the pedal assist 1 is quite powerful. So pedal assist 1 was 8 or so miles an hour, 8 to 10 miles an hour, I would say. Let's go ahead and go to pedal assist 2. I think I'm going to want to shift up here. Already in 7th gear. So that's a pretty big difference between pedal assist 1 and 2, going about 16, 17. So already in pedal assist 2, we were going pretty fast, 15, 16 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 3. Definitely feel the motor kick in there. And my pedals are spinning pretty fast. So I would have liked to see perhaps a bigger chainring up front, I think, because of course if I'm in pedal assist 3, it'd be nice to be able to provide a little bit more of my own power. But let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 4 and see what happens. So now we'll probably go over 20. There's 22, and my legs are really spinning now. So at these higher speeds, it's just going to be a lot trickier for you to provide your own power. Let's see how fast I can get this. 27. So yeah, powerful electric bike. If you do want to pedal more comfortably at those higher speeds, you could definitely put a bigger front chainring. And I was just in pedal assist 5 and just starting from a stop, you definitely feel that motor kind of, jerk you a little bit, much like the throttle. So you definitely want to start off in the lower pedal assist modes with this electric bike. And I do get asked fairly often, can you pedal this electric bike with no power? So you run out of battery power, which hopefully does not happen. And with these fat tires, there's definitely a little bit more rolling resistance, so it's not going to be quite as efficient. But I'm going, 12, 11 miles an hour. Still in 7th gear. This is pretty flat. So hills are definitely going to be the biggest challenge. I would maybe want to shift down a little bit. I imagine other people would as well. So it's definitely possible. Like I said, though, hills are going to be a challenge. Speaking of hills, let's get to my hill climb test with this electric bike and see how capable this 750 watt motor really is. Okay, here we are at the hill climb test. This is the hill that I take up all the electric bikes that I review, so you can compare them side by side if you'd like. And I have no doubt that the Troxus is just gonna fly up this hill. I got the speed. Hopefully you can see that. And hopefully. And the battery meter on the actual LCD screen is a little bit weird because when you're really pulling on the battery, it goes way down. I'm assuming it's reading the voltage draw. Battery is maybe 50% or so, going about 24 miles an hour right now, down to 20. And again, this 750 watt motor is going to have no problem going up this. I mean, I'm still going 18 miles an hour and 17. I don't think it'll go much lower than this, 16, 17. And the battery meter on the display is pretty much reading empty, which is not true. So yeah, 16 miles an hour was the minimum speed I think I saw. So that's very impressive, about what you should expect for a 750 watt motor. I imagine it's peaking much higher than that though. All right, we are at the top. I'm going back to 20 miles an hour here. So now I'm going to head back down the hill and I will do the hill climb test while pedaling, just to give you a little bit idea of what to expect out of this bike. Okay, here we are at the bottom of the hill. I'm just going to give myself a little throttle to get going. Shift down here. All the way into first gear here. Pedal assist 1. Not a whole lot of assistance, I would say, in pedal assist 1, although my legs are spinning a little bit. But I think pretty quickly here, I would like to be in higher pedal assist for this steep of a hill. Oops. Now I'm in pedal assist 2 here. I would say this is doable, going 9 miles an hour. Pedal assist 2, getting a little bit of the workout, but not too terribly much. Obviously, this is going to conserve your battery quite a bit, and I could even slow down my legs a little bit. So this will be nice, obviously, if someone wants to conserve battery and just do kind of the bare minimum pedaling. And I mean, I'm only in pedal assist 2. Let's go up to 3. Feel that motor kick in a little bit more. Legs start spinning. I'm going to shift up 3rd gear here. Maybe even 4th. Still going 10 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 4. Feel that motor again And yeah, I need to shift up 6th gear, maybe in 7th gear, going about 14. And of course, pedal assist 5. Really gonna feel that power kick in. And I'm not providing a whole lot of my own leg power at this point, going about 18 miles an hour. So this bike, without a doubt, is a great hill climber. That would definitely not be a concern of mine if I was looking at this electric bike. All right, with that, let's get to some third-person riding footage, and I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Troxus SkyHopper. Don't let its small frame fool you. The Troxus SkyHopper is one powerful little bike, as we demonstrated on the hill climb test. The 750 watt motor paired with the smaller wheels means you need to be ready if you're going to use that throttle. Now this frame design is really the reason I agreed to do this review. Compared to the Vulcanist, their full-size fat tire e-bike, the SkyHopper is more differentiated. There are a few similar style frames out in the market today, but not many. And I actually like this design because it is so much more accessible. The mid-step allows much shorter riders to fit on the bike, and the 20-inch wheels make it a bit more approachable as well. The ride feel of this e-bike is more closer to a moped-style e-bike, especially when you factor in the motor. Hopefully you can get an idea of the riding position in this footage. At first glance, the SkyHopper looks like it might offer a more upright cruiser feel, but this is not the case. For reference, I'm 6 feet tall. For the current price of $14.99, you are getting what I'd expect. Name brand components, a 14 amp hour battery that according to the company uses Samsung cells, and it's also fully outfitted. Lights, fenders, and a rear rack. And the front suspension felt pretty good as well. Overall, it's a good value priced e-bike in my book. Now Troxus is billing this as an e-bike for the city, but this is really a do-everything e-bike. Sure, the fat tires and suspension will soak up any potholes around your city, but these fat tires will do much more than that if you want them to. And this bike is tremendously fun off-road and offers a more playful experience. As a taller rider, I feel more in control of this smaller e-bike compared to full-size fat tire e-bikes, and that made it a blast. Now for the areas of improvement. The metal fenders are solid, which is great for durability, but they also amplify the vibrations of the powerful motor. Perhaps you too were able to hear this in the riding footage. This is just the nature of some e-bikes with metal fenders, but these are also designed to hug the frame tightly, so perhaps there is room for improvement. The other big hiccup in getting this review out was the issue with the headset, which I was able to get resolved from my local e-bike friendly bike shop. Thanks to Matt at All About Bikes, who you've seen featured on this channel before. Troxus footed the bill and also sent a rotor to replace the one that was bent in shipping. So in conclusion, this is a well-priced e-bike with decent components and perhaps a more powerful than most at this price point motor that is going to be great for shorter riders. Troxus is a brand that's new to the e-bike market, so I'd be on the lookout for reviews from customers if you're considering one of their e-bikes. Again, link in the description to help support eBike Escape. Thanks in advance, other resources as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.